This is video 6 of your isometric drawings. So just as a review from video 5, you do want to go in and identify your object lines with your pen and your straight edge. So if you did not identify where your object lines are in your yellow part, please make sure that you went back and are doing that. The next figure that I would like to spend some time on and complete an isometric drawing for is going to be our green part. All right. So first things first, we're going to label. So I'm going to move my sheet over. I'm going to do them right next to each other so that I don't run out of room. All right. And what I want to go ahead and do is, again, just give it a name. Keep our notes nice and organized. I'm going to be consistent, and I'm just going to call it green part. All right. And just like we have been doing, we need to identify our overall width, our overall depth, and our overall height. And I'm just going to do these in pen just so you can see them a little bit better. The pencil is, I know, hard to see on the document camera. I apologize. All right, so this is our front view as a review from our orthographic drawings. All right, so I'm going to take a look at the front view because the front view has the width and the height dimension. So the width dimension of our green part is going to be 3 inches. And the height dimension is also going to be 3 inches. The depth dimension can be found in the top view or the right side view. I'm going to flip it to the right side view, and the depth, how deep that object is going to be 1 inch because it is 1 cube. So now that we've identified our overall width, height, and depth, we're going to create our invisible box, again using construction lines. So I'm going to leave my part right there. I'm going to grab my pencil, and I'm going to create this invisible box. So again, you want to make sure that you give yourself enough room. I'm going to make my starting point right there. And just like we did for our yellow part, I want to make sure that we write our scale down. So for every 2 lines that we have on our graph paper, I'm going to say that that equals 1 inch for our cube dimensions. All right, so that's our scale. So again, from this starting point, we're going to go back and to the right. Where am I getting that from? Right here. So this is our starting point. Back and to the right is always going to be your depth. To the back and left is going to always be your width. Okay. So my depth is going to be 1 inch, so I'm going to come back to the right 2 lines per our scale, and our width is going to be 3, so I'm going to come back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines for our width. And again, I'm going a little bit heavier with my pencil than you need to be, just so that you can see it on the document camera. And then our overall height is going to be 3 inches, so I'm going to come up 2, 4, 6 inches for my height. And then I'm just going to finish off my right side view. And then I'm going to come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I didn't go far enough down. All right, so my invisible box is going to kind of take up a little bit of my green part dimensions. It's not the end of the world, but again, make sure that you're giving yourself enough space. Lesson learned for me. All right, so step number 2 is you're going to identify the outside faces with object lines. So what I like to do, and this is a personal preference, is I like to draw out my front face in my front view. All right. So I know that I'm going to come in, and I'm starting from here, and I'm going to come in 1 unit, and then I'm going to come down 2 units, I'm going to come over 1 unit, and I'm going to come up 1 unit, I'm going to come over 1 unit, and down. My overall height needs to be darkened with an object line. And there we go. So I have my front face of my part drawn out on my box. All right, and the reason I did that is because they're all outside faces or all outside surfaces. Now if I turn it, make sure you can see it. Now if I turn it to my right side view, I can see these two faces. So I'm going to put that depth line back, and I'm going to come down there. All right, and this face I can also see, but this face is actually an inside face. So that'll come in step 3. What I can see, so my part's gonna, oops, you can't see it, sorry. So my part's gonna look like this, right? But what I can see is this edge right here in my drawing. So I'm going to identify that with an object line right there. And what I also can see is this face right here is an outside face. So I'm going to draw that. And this is also an outside face touching the back half of my box. And then we also have this edge of 2 units coming straight down. So 1, 2 units. Okay. Now what we need to do is identify all of the inside faces. So I'm missing, if you take a look at this, oops, sorry, I'm trying to put it at an angle that makes sense to all of you looking at the document camera. So this is an inside face, it's not touching the outside of our box. So we need to add that. We need to add, oops, this inside face right here, that edge right there. And then we are also missing this edge right here. All right, so that is what our green part looks like as an isometric drawing. The next thing that we need to make sure that we are doing is coming back in with our pen and our straight edge, and we are tracing over our object lines to very clearly define our object shape. And again, I would like you to leave your construction lines in your drawing so that I can see kind of the work and the thought process behind your drawings. That way, if you are missing something or something is where it's not supposed to be or something like that, I can better help explain why things are the way they are and help you make any corrections that are needed. All right, so I'm just coming in and I'm going over, again, my object lines to clearly define my object. And please make sure that you are using a straight edge while doing this. And I would like you to keep your construction lines. Some of these object lines I didn't do a very good job of tracing over, so I just want to erase a couple of those. There we go. But I do want you to keep these construction lines that you use to create the invisible box. That is how you make your green part.